Hello parents and students, this video is about the iPad one-to-one technology program at Conestoga Public Schools, and you're watching this so that you can know what's happening from our point of view and then sign off on what you need to sign off on, and then we can begin this partnership. And this is a partnership between the school, between students and parents. We need to all work together to make this happen. The one-to-one programs that are in schools are about increasing the accessibility of information for all students. Our mission statement says we inspire and prepare students for life. And I think it's clear that the future of life really revolves around technology. I am excited and I'm very grateful to both the Conestoga Board of Education and to Superintendent Dr. Johnson for taking on the challenge of providing a computer to every student in high school. It's a big responsibility. I think it's a great step in the right direction toward what we do. I think this is going to increase all aspects of learning. This is an exciting time to be part of Conestoga education, and we're glad you're part of it. It's also a process. We're going to learn along the way. We don't have all the answers, and we know it right now. We've got a lot of discussions. We spent a great deal of time. But as a wise man once said, what you need to do is you need to ready, fire, aim. And sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes it's not about hitting the target the first time, but you get ready, you fire, you see where you made your miss or where it wasn't quite on target, you adjust and you come back to make it happen. So that's what we're going to do right now. If we waited to have every problem solved, we'd never get started. So we're ready to start at Conestoga where we think we're on top of what's going to happen. We've looked at many schools and we've taken what we think are some of the best ideas out there, and we've used them and we're modeling after them. Back in my day, when I was a student, in 6th grade in 1969, 1970, I watched with rapt amazement to what we could see on television about manned moonshots. And some of you have maybe seen Apollo 13, and I lived that as a student. And one of the things I remember from the movie is Gene Kranz saying, failure is not an option. Failure is not an option with the one-to-one either. We are going to make this succeed. Now, we may have some bumps along the road, but we are going to make this thing work, and we're going to bring everybody safe home just like they did in Apollo 13. So here's what we need from you. First of all, you've got the policy. We've created a book, and we mailed it out to you, and largely that's why you're here now, or you're showing up because you couldn't be here for one of the meetings. There are more copies if you need one. It outlines all the responsibilities that you as students and parents have. You need to read through it. You need to be familiar with what's happening there. By signing off at the end of this video and also at the end of tonight, you're saying, we agree, we're going to be with you on that. Think of the iPad any way you'd think of any piece of equipment that was loaned out to you. Loaned out to you because that's what it is. It doesn't belong to you. This belongs to the school. It's ours. When you lease a car, you make certain promises. You're going to use it in a certain way. You're going to return it in a certain condition at a certain time. That's the same thing that's going to happen with the iPad. You're really just loaning it. We're leasing it. You're using it. They're laid out for you in the iPad informational booklet. If you don't pay the $35 insurance fee, then the iPad never goes home with you. It'll stay here at school. We think it'd be best if you pay that. We think it's a cheap way to make that happen. 250 days out of the year you're going to have an iPad to use. Start doing the math on that. It is not very expensive for you to have that kind of technology in your hand, and certainly it's going to make education better. As soon as you're no longer a student at Conestoga, the iPad comes back. We are not going to sell iPads to seniors at the end of the year, so moms and dads, start saving your money right now so you can buy that great graduation present for the seniors. Please look at the general precautions that are on page 2. If you are holding a $700 item in your possession with an iPad, treat it with care. The iPads have identification stickers on them inside. Don't remove them. Don't try to jailbreak or hack into the computers. School has software that identifies when there are changes made to it. And if you make those unauthorized changes, you'll be held accountable for those. Be careful where you put your iPad. Students at Conestoga are very accustomed to using the wall as a way of putting things out there at lunch. I'd suggest to you that may not be wise if you don't want a $700 iPad to hit the ground. Also, students at Conestoga are known to set their lockers so that they don't have to use the combination. I think that practice ought to stop. Plus, you've got about $500 worth of textbooks in there. So just to stop that practice, lock your locker, keep it safe. Protect your iPad from extreme heat or cold. Don't leave it in your vehicle. They will shut down if they get too hot. They'll also shut down if they get too cold. You are provided a case. The student cases look slightly different than the faculty cases, but here they are. We love this case. We looked at a lot of different cases. We think this was about the best option. It has reinforced corners where often all of the breaks come in. It's also got personalized up in front, automatically identifies it as being yours, and also then you've got a sticker on the side that has your name on it. And so we say use those. You cannot change the case. Some people say they want to use a keyboard. I'm going to tell you right now, our experience with every school has been students have bought keyboards and schools tell us they don't use them. Now you might buy a keyboard, and I've got one myself. I use it occasionally when I go into school, to the classrooms in school with teachers, but I don't use it very often. I've really learned to use it without, and most students will too. But that's up to you. But if you buy a keyboard, don't buy one that's integrated case, because you cannot change a case. It has to stay on here. We want it to be immediately known that's a Conestoga iPad. Bring your iPad daily. You're going to need it. Don't leave it at home. Charge your iPad daily. The battery should last all day long. We've been testing them, and one of the reasons we went iPad is extended life. There's no laptop out there right now that's giving us kind of the lifespan of battery that this is. Parents, we suggest that you have your children charge their iPad in a family place of the house. Don't charge it in a bedroom or somewhere like that. Have them charge it in the living room. Have them charge it in the kitchen, away from the sink and away from the disposal and away from the refrigerator. But put it somewhere where you can watch it. It's not intended to be a 24-hour-a-day device for your students. At some point, they need to sit it down and get a good night's rest. We think that's the way it should be. At least initially, you may also have to help remind them, get your iPad and take to school. If it's laying there, you know where it's at. You know when they're using it. You can add things to your iPad. You can add games, you can add pictures, you can add music, but everything you do has to adhere to the school policy. So just think about that. If Mr. Friedley were to open that up, would he be okay with it, or is that a problem? And if it's a problem, don't put it on there. Again, there are things that are listed in the iPad booklet. You'll also have a blue sheet that is a technology agreement, and pretty much the no's are outlined in there. Follow those, please. We also have some software that tracks what's going on your iPad. At any time, and listen here, at any time, staff members or administrators can request a student, let me have your iPad, and they'll hand it over. And if they don't, you'll have to take the consequences for that. But like lockers, it's a part of the school property. It's being loaned to you, you're using it, but all your use has to conform to school rules. So just be ready for that. Music. You can put music on it, but they ought to be radio edits. Explicit lyrics should never go onto your iPad. If you've got an iTunes account that you sync onto this, be very, very careful with it. You may want to go in and do some editing so that you don't run into some problems. You will need an iTunes account. If you don't have one, you're going to be directed how to do that, and when you set up your iPad, you'll be directed, and we'll get one. But you need to have an iTunes account. Students and parents, you need to share passwords with each other. Students, you need to be able to say to your parent anytime, here, you can look at my iPad, no problem. They need to have access to it 24 hours a day. If they ask, they're responsible for this too. Home internet is not provided by the school, but it is supported by the iPads. If you've got a network at home, you can set it up. It's very easy. It'll recognize it. You should have no problems with that. Save work on the iPad through the but also be sure you're backing it up through Dropbox or iCloud or some other system. Teachers will assist students in kind of learning how to do that for classes, but have a way to do it. You can't put everything right on your iPad and hold it all. Pretty soon you'll run out. We've got good iPads, lots of storage, but you need to back up your work also just in case something happens. The iCloud ate my homework is probably not a great excuse. Applications or the apps that we install as a school need to stay there. There are going to be also periodic updates. you should never remove school-placed apps. Don't ever do that. And I don't know that you're going to be able to, but please, once again, don't try. Personal apps you can use if they conform to the school rules. Technology support, you can get it any time here at school during school hours, but please don't be calling us at 11 o'clock at night saying, oh, I can't get. Tough, you're going to have to wait. Get it during school hours, and we'll be here. Mr. Murtu or other people will help you. Parents, treat this like you would any other informational source out there, and any valuable piece of equipment. Put limits where you see fit. Do not let your child say, but the school says I have to. If you say no, it's just the same way you'd say, no, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. Teach a model of responsibility. If you would limit how and what your how your child watches TV, or where and when they'll drive a vehicle, put limits on your iPad the same way. That's the way we see it. It's a partnership. Note that there are some responsibilities listed for the school and for the students on page 8 of the booklet. Know all those and abide by them, please. Also pay close attention to the final paragraph. It talks about repairs and replacement costs with and without insurance. Page 9 also lists some specific don'ts. Think about it. If what you're about to do you would not be pleased with, or you think I wouldn't be pleased with if I was looking over your shoulder, don't do it. We've got some software that is on these computers, and because they're ours, they're not yours, we're loaning them to you. We can follow some things that are happening. There are 2 forms for students and parents to sign. They're in the back of the booklet. We've also got some single-page sheets for you to sign. You can do it either way. You need to do both those. You need to sign both those. The insurance fee and the policy is outlined. If you don't pay the $35, the iPad never goes home with you. So if you think you can do schoolwork and do it without the iPad, then you don't have to pay for it. But I think $35 is a very, very minimal expense for 1 year of use of the iPad. I'm really excited about the one-to-one technology plan at Conestoga. It might be the most exciting and challenging thing that I've seen in 35 years of education. I'm glad to be a partner with you in the process, and that's what we want to be. We want to be partners. And given that, we want to make sure every partner is holding their own weight. Please do your part, we'll do our part. And let's work together to inspire and prepare students for the next step of their life, whether that step is college, or a technical school, or the military, or work, or raising a family. We think that technology is one of those things that can help you be successful in all those things. So there's going to be a time for question and answers, or if you're viewing this kind of in the privacy of something because you've taken this experience a little differently than a group, you can ask some questions of us, and then we'll get started on the rest of the process. Once again, thank you. I appreciate it. We're looking forward to a great year, an exciting year, and thanks for being partners in the Conestoga one-to-one technology program.